What's the deal, everybody? It's your boy Shane G. We are here with another episode of Politics as Usual, right here on the Ethos Media Network. Make sure you like, you share, you subscribe. And this week, let's talk about it. State of the Union address. We're actually going to watch a highlight video together, and we're going to just. We're gonna do this. We're gonna watch it together, and we're going to just you know see what we think about what he says, and you know how he reacts to certain things. And this was just a very interesting State of the Union. So let's get into it, shall we?
Start tonight with the 118th Congress. The new Speaker of the House kept.
Okay, let's pause there. Kevin McCarthy, why is that your boy like that? Remember when everybody was all up in arms and all scared because they were like, "Whoa, if the squad forces the vote on Nancy Pelosi and she doesn't become Speaker of the House, then Kevin McCarthy could get it." First of all, that was a lie. That was never true. Kevin McCarthy, there was no way for him to actually become Speaker of the House that year. It would have had to have been a Democrat. That's number one. Again, as we saw, because the Republicans just forced the vote on Kevin McCarthy, and he's still the Speaker of the House. So, didn't become a Democrat just because they forced the vote on him. So all that logic was flawed from the beginning. But I digress. If he's such a monster and he's so scary and oh my God, we can't all of that, why is the top Democrat shaking hands with him, congratulating him on becoming the new Speaker of the House? Why is he so happy about it? Let's continue.
2 years ago, our business closed, schools were no longer controls our lives. And 2 years ago, democracy faced its greatest threat to the Civil War. And today, though bruised, our democracy remains unbowed and unbroken.
Okay, let's stop there. He's talking about democracy being back and all this good stuff, right? Well, here's the thing about that. He's saying that based on just because he's the president now. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's really all he's basing that on. He's not basing that on anything of substance, because all of his policies are essentially the same as Donald Trump's policies. He's going to say that later, with one really big one, by the way. And not only that, so nothing's really changed. And then with all this Twitter file stuff, we know that big tech corporations and the government work hand in hand. So you're saying that democracy's been restored, but I don't see how you could say that honestly. Let's continue.
Will send us a clear message: fighting for the sake of fighting, power for the sake of power, conflict for the sake of conflict gets us nowhere. We're gonna
really. Why are we in Ukraine? Or why are we flooding so many weapons to Ukraine? Is it to save the people of Ukraine? We just feel bad for them? Or are we instigating a war? Conflict for the sake of conflict, fighting for the sake of fighting, right, Joe?
make sure the supply chain for America begins in America. The supply chain begins in America. Created. We've already created new manufacturing jobs without this law, before the law kicks in. With this new law, we're going to create hundreds of thousands of new jobs across the country. I mean, all across the country. We're seeing these field of dreams transform.
All I'll say to that is we'll see. Because there's no track record of you actually caring about those things. So all I got on that is we'll see.
Land. But to maintain the strongest economy in the world, we need the best infrastructure in the world. And folks,
He's saying he wants to do an infrastructure bill, but if we're sending all our money to Ukraine, and, you know, why should I take that serious, I guess is my question, you know. There's a lot of people I see online who are like, wow, like the Republicans don't want to do infrastructure and all of this. And I'm like, I mean, they historically haven't wanted to either, so I don't have an argument against that. But my question would be then, why do you feel like the Democrats aren't lying about it? Just because they're saying the stuff. This is the thing, like, this is my biggest issue with Democrats, like, as far as elected Democrats, and then this is my biggest issue with people who actually follow politics. Not necessarily just your average Democrat or Republican who doesn't follow it day to day, but people who actually follow the stuff day to day. It's like, at what point are you going to accept that they're lying about all this good stuff that they say they want to do? Because they continuously have opportunities to do all of it, and they don't. When are you guys going to accept that this is a lie? This is WWE. When are you going to accept it?
as you all know, we be number one in the world. Sure. States of America, 13th in the world in infrastructure, modern infrastructure. But now we're coming back because we came together and passed the bipartisan infrastructure law, the largest investment in infrastructure since President Eisenhower's interstate highway system.
Okay, he's upset that we're 13th in infrastructure. Last I checked, we were 29th in healthcare outcomes. We have the most expensive healthcare system. We're 29th in outcomes. Bet you he doesn't bring that number up.
I mean it sincerely. I want to thank my Republican friends who voted for the law, and my Republican friends who voted against it as well. But I still get asked to fund the projects in those districts as well. But don't worry, I promised I'd be a president for all Americans. We'll fund these projects, and I'll see you at the groundbreaking. Bye, America.
He's talking about funding the wall. Remember, Donald Trump was racist, and which I agree with, by the way. But remember, Donald Trump was racist because he wanted to build a wall to keep the Mexicans out because some of them are good people, but they're not sending good people over here. They're sending rapists and criminals and all of that. Remember, y'all remember that. So, why is it cool for Joe Biden to continue funding the project that allegedly Mexico was supposed to pay for in the first place anyway? So now you flip the whole thing to Donald Trump is racist because he wants to build the wall. If that's the logic, if Joe Biden is continuing to build the wall, which you just heard him say it, what does that make Joe Biden? Let's continue.
America has been the law since 1933, but for too long, past administrations, Democrat and Republican, have fought to get around it. Not anymore. Tonight, I'm announcing new standards that require all construction materials used in federal infrastructure projects to be made in America. But every day, millions of literally over 100 years. The guy who invented it didn't even patent it because he wanted it to be available for everyone. It cost the drug companies roughly $10 a vial to make that insulin. Packaging and all, you may get up to $13. But Big Pharma has been unfairly charging people hundreds of dollars, $400 to $500 a month, making record profits. Not anymore. The drug price.
You know what would allow that? Medicare for all. You know what Joe Biden said he would do if a Medicare for all bill got put on his desk? He would veto it.
This is rise faster than inflation. Drug companies are going to have to pay Medicare back the difference. We're finally giving Medicare the power to negotiate drug prices. Bringing down prescription drug costs doesn't just save seniors money. Now some members here are threatening, and I know it's not an official party position, so I'm not, but threatening to repeal the Inflation Reduction Act. As my coach, that's okay, that's fair. As my football coach used to say, lots here. Make no mistake, if you try anything to raise the cost of producing jobs, I will veto it. You notice big oil and its profits, record profits. Last year they made $200 billion in the midst of a global energy crisis.
That's funny. Look at Mitch McConnell's face. You motherfucking Mitch McConnell. Fuck you.
I think it's outrageous. Why? They invested too little of that profit to increase domestic production. And when I talk to a couple of them, they say, we're afraid you're going to shut down all the oil wells and all the oil refineries anyway, so why should we invest in them? I said, we're going to need oil for at least another decade. And that,
At least a decade. Joe, there's no plan. What's the plan to get us off fossil fuels in the next decade? There is no plan. There was a plan called the Green New Deal. But everybody who was in favor of the Green New Deal has been shown to basically do whatever y'all want every time. AOC, Jamal Bowman, Cori Bush, Ayanna Pressley, Ilhan Omar, Ro Khanna. Y'all know the names, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, Rashid Tlaib, shout out Michigan, can't forget you. So, you know what I mean? This is, these are the people who were supposed to be implementing some sort of plan to get us off fossil fuels in the next, hopefully, 10 years or something like that. If you believe in climate change, which I do, I believe that it's real, I believe that it's man-made, all that. So, if we're going to do something to reverse it, to save the planet, the people who we sent there to do that job are not going to do that job. So there's no plan for this. So I don't even know why he would say that. Like, why he would pretend like we're only going to be on fossil fuels. He says at least for the next decade. There's no plan. So if there's no plan, they're like, Joe Biden, you're going to see him just randomly throw out numbers just kind of arbitrarily throughout this whole thing. Like, it's crazy.
going to exceed it. And beyond that, we're going to need it. Production. In fact, that's in production. These record profits to buy back their own stock, rewarding CEOs and shareholders. Corporations ought to do the right thing. That's why I propose we quadruple the tax on corporate stock buybacks and encourage long-term investments. Instead of making the wealthy pay their fair share, some Republicans want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not saying it's a majority. Anybody who doubts it, contact my office. I'll give you a copy.
So that's interesting. That's interesting because Joe Biden said that some Republicans basically want to cut Social Security and Medicare. And all of them, everybody starts booing. Now, I don't know who was booing. Was that the Democrats booing that idea? Or was that the Republicans booing saying, that's bullshit, we don't want to do that? Because that was what Marjorie Taylor Greene, who stood up wearing all white, that's what she just was saying. She was screaming out, you're a liar, to Joe Biden. And she's like one of the most right-wing Republicans out there. So, that's interesting. That's just an interesting reaction. Because are the Republicans now trying to say that they haven't been trying to cut Medicare and Social Security for my whole life? You know what I'm saying? I'm 35, so my whole lifetime I feel like they've been trying to do this. So, that's just an interesting reaction. For them to be so vehemently like, nah, that's bullshit, we didn't say that. Like, yeah, all of you have, pretty much at one point or another, because you're against big government and you feel like social programs contributes to big government and it's bad. So, yeah. No, I'm not saying the Democrats are doing anything to protect it, but they haven't been actively speaking, saying that well, actually, except Joe Biden, funny enough. Joe Biden actually on camera has said that we do need to consider cutting Social Security and Medicaid because of our deficit and blah, 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 blah. That's on video. So, this whole thing right here was interesting to me.
The proposal. That means Congress doesn't vote. Well, I'm glad to see you. No, I tell you, I enjoy
liar. That's what she just said. That's crazy.
Conversion. You know, it means if Congress doesn't keep the price, they go away. Other Republicans say, I'm not saying it's a majority of you. I don't even think it's even a significant, but it's being proposed by individuals. But it's being proposed by some of you. Look, folks.
Now, see, that's interesting to me too, because that's not. I mean, I'm not even gonna say interesting. That shows weakness to me. You know, you're the president, bro. Like, stay in your ground. Don't immediately back down when they say you're a liar, you're a liar, you're a liar, and then you're like, well, I mean, it's not even really most of you, or even that many of you, really. It's just some of you, blah blah blah. If that's the case, why would you even bring that up to say the Republicans want to do this? If it's like 5 of them, you get what I'm saying? Don't back down off your point, bro. That looks weak as shit, and that's why nobody respects Joe Biden, because of shit like that right there.
The idea is that we're not going to be moved into being threatened to default on the debt if we don't respond, folks. So, folks, as we all apparently agree, Social Security and Medicare is off the books now, right? They're not to be responded. All right. We have an obligation to make sure all people are safe. Public safety depends on public trust, as all of us know. But too often that trust is violated. Joining us tonight are the parents of Tyree Nichols. Welcome.
Okay, before he says everything that he's about to say, and then we're done with this pretty much. We're not going through the whole shit. I just wanted to show y'all, like, this is bullshit. This is all performative. But before he says everything that he's about to say about police and policing in America and the systemic issues that black and brown people face and all of that, keep in mind, this is the same man who did not want to desegregate busing back in the day. He was quoted as saying he doesn't want his children to go to school in a racial jungle. This is Joe Biden. This is who this is. And this is the man who bragged about writing the crime bill and then decades later, when asked if he regretted it, said no. That's this Joe Biden who created this whole climate that we're in that he's about to speak about, as if he didn't create the whole environment that he's now having to pretend like it's so bad and we got to fix this and blah blah blah. You created it.
As many of you personally know, there's no words to describe the heartache or grief of losing a child. But imagine if you're out of the hands of the law. Imagine having to worry whether your son or daughter came home from walking down the street, playing in the park, or just driving a car. Most of us in here have never had to have the talk that brown and black parents have had to have with their children. We all want the same thing. Neighborhoods free of violence. Law enforcement who earns the community's trust. Just as every cop, when they pin on that badge in the morning, has a right to be able to go home at night, so does everybody else out there. Our children have a right to come home safely. Equal protection under the law is a covenant. We know police officers put their lives on the line every single night and day. And we know we ask them in many cases to do too much to be counselors, social workers, psychologists, responding to drug overdoses, mental health crises, and so much more. In one sense, we ask much too much of them. I know most cops and their families are good, decent, honorable people, but they risk.
All right, that's enough of that. So, yeah. Like I said, man, you can pretty much see, because I just, everything that he said, I'm either asking for evidence, examples, or I will show you in his past where he did the opposite. So, again, I just want people to not fall for the okey doke. You know what I mean? If somebody is basically saying, if somebody's promising you the world and they're not giving you anything, or they've been shown to do the opposite of everything that they say, why do you continue to believe that this person is going to do the right thing? And when they had the opportunity for the last couple of years, they ran Congress, they ran the Senate, and they had the White House. Could have did anything you wanted to. Tell me something significant that happened that helped the American people. They lied about giving people $2,000 checks. Trump gave what, 1,100, 1,200, what was it? And then Joe Biden, I'm pretty sure that the money that I was supposed to get from Joe Biden went to student loans or something like that. It was something like that what that happened to where I didn't end up getting the money. So it's like people got more money under Trump than they did Biden. And I remember they said day one they were going to send out those checks if we elected Democrats, and I believe it was Georgia for that Senate race. So that's all I'm saying, man. Just pay attention. That's really it. Just pay attention. Pay attention to what's going on. Don't fall for the okey doke. They're all against you. Everybody in that room is against you. Just keep that in mind. Everybody in there, they don't care about you. They don't have your best interest. They don't. We need some grassroots movements. We got to start getting it out the mud ourselves. We got to start, contributing to, mutual aid funds. Just helping your neighbor out, man. That's all we got at this point. Electorally, we can't really depend on them to do anything, because everybody in that room, they're all paid by the same people. So, with all that being said, this is your boy Shane G. This is Politics as Usual, right here on the Ethos Media Network. Make sure you like, you share, you subscribe. Catch you next Saturday. Peace.